go ahead and turn the recording on now. Over on the right-hand side of your screen, typically, is the GoToWebinar control panel. On that control panel, you should see your name under the attendees area, in which case you should be able to click on the little hand. If you've got a question, you can click on that, the little hand, to raise your hand and allow me to cue you in. And what we'll do, in the past, I've gone through and just kind of opened it up to everybody, and we had a lot of noise different ways. And what I'd really like to do is, if you've got a question, raise your hand. I will unmute you, and we'll kind of go through the question, go through the answer, and you can ask one or two questions, and then move to the next one, unless there's nobody else asking, and then we'll just kind of keep going through that process, if that sounds good to you guys. We're still kind of experimenting with this particular format to see how well it goes over. See if you guys, if it fits your need or not. I see James McCarty on there. Hey James, this is have talked to you in the past. I know you're an old Advantage XI user, so good to have you on here. So does everybody, first off, let me go down here to the chat. There's also a chat section. Is everybody able to hear me okay? If you can answer yes. I see Lisa answering. Can anybody else? Anybody having any challenges? Hearing me? Okay, looks like Jared has his hand up. Let me unmute Jared. Hello, Jared. Can you hear me?
I don't have a microphone, I don't think.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, you can? Okay, perfect. Yeah, I can hear you. I was just raising my hand that I could hear you.
Okay, excellent. Did you have any particular questions that I can go over that you'd like me to cover? I've got a few others online if you don't, but if you have a question, I'll certainly go through that with you. Looks like you just muted yourself. I'll go ahead and go to Sandy. Hang on for 1 second, Sandy. Let me unmute you. Hi, Sandy. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes. Awesome.
Okay.
Welcome to the webinar, and how can I help you?
Oh, thank you. The process, like a decision tree process, for instance, in the buyer closing process, you get to a point where you do the inspection, and here in Central Florida, you're either going to accept, reject, or apply an alternate workflow, such as the repair process. Could you walk through that, like how you would set that up in an activity?
Sure. So the question in this, as far as those that are listening, I'm not sure if everybody caught the question or not. There are different activities in a workflow that happen, and in this particular case, there is a particular activity that you need to either accept, reject, or do something different. So what I would do in that case is, let me just create, I'm just going to use this as a sample here, and we're just going to create a new activity. And what was the main topic on that?
The inspection.
Inspection?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got some kind of inspection going on, and the question, there could be a couple different ways that you can do this. Obviously, you can go in there and say a little checkbox on here saying we want to accept, reject, do something like that is a possibility. But ultimately, what I would say is, depending on what you are needing to do, actually, really, if you don't accept it, technically you're rejecting it. So that would not necessarily need to be on there. But what you can do is have this as an inspection, having a checklist item, and then based off of what you need to do, have actions on there. So if you did one thing, you might have an accept option that you did something based off of something. Maybe you added, you sent a message or something, or you set up some tags saying that they accepted. You can set up a accepted inspection
Can I tell you
tag.
what I can I tell you what I did?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I did. Actually, I'm on the right track based on what you did so far. So I had under actions, I created two actions. One was to send an email with satisfaction of inspection contingency, and the other was apply the repair process. That was the alternate repair process.
You could certainly do that, yes. So having multiples on here, and then even if you wanted to, you could do the alternate workflow as well here. So what would then happen is down here at the bottom, the first one, let me just go ahead and do this one. If you were going to do the alternate, then you could pick the alternate workflow that you wanted to do, whatever that item is, and then click on save on that, so that we've got the alternate, the reject. On it might be an email saying, I want to send an email either manually, whatever, send it as an email, and you would have pre-selected some kind of rejection email of some sort that needs to go to whomever. That would be a way to handle the reject, and then do the same type of thing for the accept, so that the acceptance email goes to that same person or whatever. So having the three different actions then gives you the ability to do whatever you need. So if I was just to do this, I'm going to click on add. Not that this is going to give me everything, but new contacts in now. Let me go to a contact, make sure this makes sense. Start a workflow, send this, and I'm just going to pick the one activity. I want to undo all of them except for the inspection one, just so this is a good test. So here's the inspection just for that one activity. If I go to complete this, it gives me the option of which one do I want. If I want to accept it, I can accept it, and then I can run that. If it was an email, it would send the acceptance one. If I needed to send the rejection, send that. And you might still have a checklist on here, so that if it needs to loop around, you could have it loop around on a non-completed checklist. You could have it say, well, check back in 5 days or something. I'm not sure if you need that or not, but that would be a way of handling it.
That's the second part of my question, is how do I close out the repair process or loop it back, is exactly in your words. And that would be, I would put an activity in?
Yeah, what I would do is have a separate workflow that deals with that particular aspect of that workflow, so that whenever the repairs need to be done, or whatever parts and pieces need to be done, it can start that particular workflow to add those additional activities into your list.
Okay. Yeah, I did that. I did all that. So far, I'm on the right track. I haven't wasted any time. The only question I have is, now I completed the repair process, which I did put an extra workflow in place. And how does it close out and loop me back to the buyer closing process? Does that make sense?
No, that didn't make sense to me. I'm sorry.
So you go through and you get to a point in your workflow when you make a decision, and you have to do the repair process.
Okay.
So you go through the activities in the repair process. Once it's complete, does it just automatically? Maybe it's.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, really, that would be where where having it as a checklist item would actually be more beneficial, I think, because if you the activity itself, I mean, this inspection piece, based off of these three items, do you want it to do anything after this is complete or not? Now, what we might do is, based off of this activity being complete, here's what you can do. And let me, I'm just going to give it a checklist of good inspection. I don't know. We'll give it a name like that. So on each of these individual pieces, if you check off good inspection and it being accepted would be the thing that you would do if it's a good inspection. So if in our checklist we did check this off, we'd want to do the accepted. If this is not checked off, then we really want to do either the alternate or the reject. Now what you can do then is, clicking on each one of those down here at the bottom, you can say that this action and the other one as well is based off of whether we have an incomplete checklist, meaning this is not checked off yet. If this is not checked off yet, then I want to give this as a choice. And if I do give this choice, do I want to give it like 5 days before this particular action comes up again? So, so at that point, it's going to consider this particular activity as not complete, but as I don't need to deal with it for another 5 days, whether it's been rejected or whether it has an alternate. So I can do the same thing here and do 5 and save. So the difference here now, by having those two options selected that way, which I may have lost a bunch of people, and we can try to explain this again, maybe in some white documents. I'm going to go back over here to, I'm going to go to a different one. Let me just go to Bob Hope. And on Bob Hope, I'm going to run the same workflow again. And this is one of the powerful parts of the Realvolve workflows, is the customizability of these. Again, I'm going to uncheck everything except for just that one inspection, because I just don't want to deal with all the rest of them right now. So I do that and hit done. So now I come back over here to my activities. I go to check this off. You'll see that we've got our little checklist option for good inspection. You'll see that I've only got 2 choices. These 2 choices are there because this is not checked off.
Perfect.
Because I told it. Now, as soon as I check that off, now those 2 choices, bad choices, have gone away, and now I can do the exceptions. So now this activity is considered complete, where the other ones were not. If I don't have a good inspection, then that gives me an alternate. This, whenever I run this, it'll do whatever it needs to do. I could actually run both of these. Maybe I want to run an alternate and send the email. I can do both. Okay. In which case, whenever that runs, then it's going to add 5 days to the activity before it comes back up due again. Once it comes back due again, then we'll be able to then see the choice again. Is it a good inspection? And then we can say, yes, it is. And then we can do our accept, and then we can close out.
All right, you've answered my question very well. Thank you.
Good. Okay. Awesome. I will put you back on mute. Unless you have some, do you have anything else, Sandy?
No, I want to give other people a chance. Thank you so much.
Okay. Let me put you back on mute if I can. And anybody else, if you want to raise your hand in the little control panel on the right-hand side, I can unmute you and answer any questions. Lisa, did you have any questions while we wait?
I do. Can you hear me?
Yes.
One of my questions was, if you're entering multiple properties, how can you designate between primary, investment, second home, stuff like that?
We are working on additional features for that. If I go to a particular property, and if I go under the listing side here, we have the property type as you know, different options there. There is a a field that we need to actually, we've got listing, which is the for sale or lease. We've had that question before. But we don't really have whether it's on the occupancy. I guess we do have the primary, secondary, rental, vacation. Is that
That's
what
for
you're?
the listing. No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but for the actual contact, because some of our contacts, they have multiple properties, say they're investors or, so that's what I was saying, just in the initial contact, not the listing. So Bob Hope, does he have 2 homes, 3 homes? Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay, let me go to Jim Scott because I know he has multiple properties. If you've got multiple properties assigned to him and go under there, you will see them here. What it does not show, I guess, is which one is the primary and additional pieces. That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Probably what I need to do is have our team add the occupancy type on these as well.
Okay, yeah, that was just a question that I had today. Someone had called in and wanted to know for a specific contact. She was entering a contact and entering her primary address, but also wanted to enter her second home, but didn't see a designation for that.
Okay, well, I mean, if you wanted to enter it as a property, certainly you can do that. What some people are doing, just if they've got additional addresses and stuff under the contact
Mm-hmm.
section, we've got the home, we've got the work, and then we've got alternate. So you can put in the alternate addresses right here um,
Okay.
as well. But it's not a property at that point. It's just an alternate address. We don't really know much about it other than the address at that point. But what we're doing
Okay, got it.
is under the properties side, if you want to actually have this person to have properties, you can click in here and you can start adding the properties. And what I just need to do is make sure that we put the occupancy types on these so that we know which one's primary versus secondaries and investment properties and stuff.
Okay, that's a good way to put it. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? I don't see any other hands up. Oh, here's one. Nick. Nick has one. Hang on for a second, Nick. Let me unmute you. All right, Nick. Go ahead.
Hey Mark, how's it going?
I'm doing well.
All right, so and mine might just be more of a simpler question, but as far as just using the tags, I just want to kind of see what are like best practices or something that you utilize for tags.
Okay. One of the benefits of the tag is that it is you can use it in a lot of different ways. And I use it more probably than a lot of people intend. Some people say, well, I only want a few tags. I only want to show just a few tags. And that's fine for them. I'm more of the mind that the more tags, the merrier, which allows me to group people, things in multiple ways, even activities. So, like, if anytime that I have an open house, if I have different types of lead gen type stuff, and they come into my database one way or the other, I will have them tagged that way so that I can quickly pull them up. If I have a certain open house, one thing just to backtrack, I am starting to put together a full list of how to use tags, and we're going to have a separate webinar just on that. I'll go over a couple of them right now, but as we get into this, because there's a lot of different ways that you can use tags. So
Well, that's fine. We can wait for the other webinar if you want to.
yeah,
I was just curious on that. So if someone
the,
else has
the
a better
main thing,
question, we can go that way.
sure. The main thing is just making sure that you can find people based off of wanting to do something with them. So if you're going to be doing an open house in a particular neighborhood and you have people coming into that open house, making sure that it's tagged as open house, but also making sure that it's tagged for that neighborhood, because there may be other houses that come on the market that you want to say, well, geez, I want to make sure that anybody that lives in the Westgate neighborhood that that anybody that was looking at my previous open house in Westgate is able to know that they're around. So using those tags to group people as they come in is an important part of it, so that you can pull them up at any time and know that they've been looking in Westgate, knowing that they've been looking at a certain price house. You can certainly do that. But for properties, whenever you're dealing with properties, for any property that you're going through, you may want to keep track of, where am I at in the process of this? Am I in pre-listing? Am I in marketing? Am I in different areas of doing things with that particular listing? And within the workflows, you can have it add those tags to those. So all you have to do is go to the property, go to the radar, and you can see what section or what stage you're in using those tags as well. So there's a lot of ways of doing that. In the activities, you can use activities with tags as well. So maybe you want to go in there and say, give me all my activities that are dealing with closings. And by placing a tag in any of your activities that have closing day, I mean, you can do that. You can certainly search by a common word that maybe is just, closing day is in there as well, but a tag will do that as well. So lots of different ways of doing that, but I'll put you on the list for everybody will get it, but make sure that you are aware of the tag webinar that we're be having. I think it'll be sometime next week. We're still finalizing some of the details on that, so we'll let you know on that. Okay, Melvin, I'm going to unmute you. I see your hand up. Melvin Drury?
Yes. Hi, Mark.
How you doing?
Great. The question is under contacts, where you got the A, B, C, D.
Uh-huh.
And my thought process was maybe to use that as an A buyer, A seller, B buyer, C buyer, so forth, based off of time frame of when they're looking to buy. Naturally, D being they're dormant, they just keep them in the database to keep them in the loop. But and either has it a buyer, or if they're a seller, and then the tag naturally would be buyer or seller.
Absolutely.
What's your thought process on that?
The A, B, C, and D is one of those fields that a lot of people use a lot of different ways. The one thing that is normally common amongst all those is the ranking of them. A's would be your more important, all the way down to D's less important. And absolutely, you could do it that way. So what I've always kind of talked about as far as using those ABCs is, your A's are those people in the way that I use it, and you can use it that way, but the way I use it is that A's are those people that have referred business to me or has done multiple transactions with me of some sort. So they are a advocate, a raving fan. They do a lot for me, and I'm going to put them on my A list. B's are those people that have done business with me at least once, but not really referred anything, just somebody that I've done business with. C's are those people that maybe haven't done business with me, but I want them to. And the D's are those people that I've done business with before and I don't want to do it again. So that's one way of using it. Using it for somebody that's going to buy within the next 3 weeks, A's, next month and a half, B's, 3 months, 6 months, is very valid. The one thing that you want to make sure of is that you understand, by using this as an importance like that, if you've got somebody that's an A, once the information is refreshed, you'll see that the score will go up. What we do is, whenever we apply a relationship score to somebody, we take into account your scoring of that person. If they're an A, they're higher priority than a B. B is higher priority than a C, and then a same thing for the D. So as you increase your importance of that person, so is their score assigned to them. So just take that into account whenever you're dealing with people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I kind of think so. So therefore, let's say that you've had somebody that done a lot of business with, but currently they are not looking to buy or sell. So therefore, I'm not going to have them as an A, B, or C. I'm going to have them as a D, and that could kill their score.
Correct. So you want to be careful of that, because they may be still very important to you, but they're just not ready to make any moves yet. So that could cause their score to go down. But as long as you realize that, then it may not be a problem. But the whole intent of this is to allow our scoring mechanism, and that's a whole nother topic really of the system, because we take a lot into account to create that score. But along with all the data, along with all your appointments and all your emails and stuff that we accumulate information on, and we help build that score, we want to make sure that we take your feeling of that person into account as well, and that's where that comes from. So if you think it's a high score, we want to make sure that the scoring is high as well, and that's really the intent of that.
I got you. Yeah, so I'd be better off doing the ABC buyer sellers as tags.
Yes, technically making sure that they're buyer, seller, and you could do an A, B, C, and D tag as well that meets the criteria. Or I would probably set up like a time, 0 to 3 weeks, something like this.
Well, 0 to 3 months, 3 months to 6 months. That's your A.
Setting those up, and if you set those up with the same beginning part of it, it'll put them all grouped together so that you can quickly pick them from the list.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Another quick question.
Okay.
Showings. Let's say that I've got 4 scheduled showings for tomorrow for a client. I'd really want to put them in the system and maybe send the client an email. Here's what we're going to see tomorrow. Is there a possible way to do that? Because I know when you put in the showings, you got to then go ahead and put in your feedback and what you want to say to the seller and so forth.
Right. Yeah, we are working on that showings piece right now. There's some additional pieces. What we have done, I mean, what you can do is come in here, create the list of that you're going to do a showing on a certain address, and where it says message to seller, I mean, you can just put a dash in there. Right now it's required. We're getting rid of that here soon. But put in the property address, 4190, whatever, pick it out, and then click on the save. So what that does then is makes that list, and then you can print this out. Just grabbing, we're adding an option to actually print this out so that you won't have to do this, but it'll you can copy that and paste it into a spreadsheet or something like that for right now.
Gotcha.
Sorry about that. We're working on that piece.
Okay. All right, thanks.
You're welcome. All right. Anybody else? Let's see. Samantha Lee. Hang on for 1 second, Samantha. I'm going to put Melvin back on. And unmute Samantha. Samantha, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's a little bit better. Go ahead.
Okay. I had a question. I wasn't sure if you figured this out yet or not, but when sending a mass email to, say, your sphere or like a realtor group, have you figured out a way to, send them in groups, like names that run like A to Z or A to K, and then like K to S, and then Because like we're only supposed to send 500 emails a day, and if we have a group of 4,000 realtors, that's more than what we need. So how do we go about setting up a workflow plan that says I need you to send this mass email out to A through K, day one, and then day two send it from, K L through S, and then you know what I mean?
Right. Wow. So what I would probably encourage you to do, again, that would be another tag thing where we could create like an email group A.
I can't
Um,
see, the screen isn't moving. I don't know if anyone else is having this issue, but I can't. I'm still on the same screen of 4190 South 135th Street.
you're not seeing my
No,
screen?
no,
I'm on Bob Hope right now. You're not seeing that? Lisa, are
no.
I'm
you able to
seeing it,
see?
Mark. Yeah, I see it.
You see it?
Oh, I,
Um,
I,
might
all I
want to
see is,
do, you might want to refresh the screen, or let's see, disconnect and reconnect possibly. Um,
oh, that's okay. It's all right. I
so,
wasn't sure if
so
anyone
what?
else.
Yeah, I can kind of describe it though if you can't see it. One
Okay.
thing that I would probably do is go through your list of people of your agents and create them into different groups. And what you can do technically is in your, actually, let me go to the contacts here. So if I go to my contacts list and I click on the little chevrons that's next to the count, there's a view all option. You could go in here and say, well, I want to mark, several names. I mean, you can go in here and do them by groups. Maybe we want to find all of our A's and mark them all or whatever. But you could take those names and add a tag to them. So you might say email group A, and then email group B, and email group C, basing them off of their names if you wanted to. And then in the workflow, whenever you're setting up your workflow, you could set up an activity that sends the email. Let me just do grab one of these here real quick. And in the activity, if you go to the schedule, like you might say, send email uh, group A, and on that one would be like 0 days after start date, and then you could have another one which is email group B, which is 1 day after start date. So you can have the workflow do it for you each day for you. But on your pick those interested parties, come over here and say anybody tagged with any of email group A. So what this will do then is whenever this activity comes due, which was due today, and I go and I run it, then it will send the email to anybody that is currently tagged with email group A. Then tomorrow, whenever the next activity comes due in this workflow, which is the email group B, then it would do the same thing for email group B. So if you've got 4,000 names and you do want to do 1,000 at a time, 4 groups, you could do it that way, or 5 if you need to break them up into 500. Then you have 8 different groups of names going out over the next 8 days. Would be
Okay.
an option. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you have any other solution on that? I mean, you don't want to send more than 500 a day, is that correct?
Well, the important thing is that you're not spamming people that aren't expecting it. So if you've got 4,000 names and they all know that you send them stuff, that's fine. I don't think there's really a limit. But if you're sending stuff and you're getting to that point where they don't know you're sending that stuff necessarily, that is constituted as spam. So you want to not deal with that. Um, just be cautious there, otherwise you can get yourself into some trouble.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, let me see. Bruce, looks like your hand is up. Let me see if I can unmute you. Bruce, welcome aboard. What can I answer for you? Do you hear me? I don't hear you. If you have a question, Bruce, you might, I don't hear you, and it doesn't look like you're muted. So if you've got a question, you might put it in the chat section. Make sure your microphone's on.
Okay. It's on now. Can you hear me?
I can barely hear you.
Okay. How do you have brokerage
Are you still there?
cities using?
I cannot hear him. Bruce, if you've got a certain question, if you can, I'm going to leave you unmuted just to see if you can get that working. Otherwise, you can type it in the chat section. I've got a couple hands still up. Looks like Ron Gorman. Let me unmute Ronald. Hey, Ron, how you doing?
Okay, Mark, how are you?
I'm
Can
doing
you hear
well.
me?
Yes, I do.
I sent you a message. Can the showings be tied to showing desk?
We do not currently integrate with Showing Desk yet. We're putting together the links for Showing Desk, for Showtime, Showing Time, and one other. We're just now finishing up our API piece to allow those to happen, and that will be coming down the pipe.
That would be great. Save us a lot of time.
Yeah, the ability to bring that information in has been requested for some time, and we're just getting to that point where we can actually start handling that.
Thank you for your help.
You're welcome.
Mark, this is Bruce. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I had to have two mics on my desk. Wrong one. Question is, do you have currently brokers that cross multiple cities using Revolve basically in a single account?
Yeah, actually we do. I mean, we've got different small companies that are in different areas that have multiple locations within the same company. It's not as common, but it certainly is available. So you can.
Okay, I asked because when I look in the SMS settings and the email response settings, it looks like they're just one choice. And being local and locally focused, and talking to our clients and prospects in those cities, they're for the most part they're expecting a SMS response or email response to reflect that location as opposed to being one general one. So, like in my case, I wouldn't want a San Diego area code and email coming to a San Francisco or Palm Springs client in response, but love to be able to have those three choices if at all possible.
Right. Well, one thing that let me ask you this. Do you handle all three locations, or do you have different people handling those three different locations?
Well, the brokerage handles all three, and we'd love to have the aggregate contacts in all three of those. Then we workflow out to the agents in those respective cities.
Okay. Well, technically, the SMS numbers go with the user. So you can have multiple users, and each user has their own separate number. So
that's what I wondered. So it's almost like three different accounts in a way, right?
Well, they're different. It's not different accounts. It's the same account, but you've got three different users that handle each of your different locations. So you could have an agent that handles San Diego, one that handles San Francisco, and one that handles LA.
Okay. Yeah, that would work. I mean, in a sense, at the end of the day, you want them separate anyway, and it might simplify things doing it that way.
Yeah. And whenever you do your workflow needs to come from somebody anyway. So if whenever you're bringing those names in and you're assigning them to the appropriate person, whenever they reply with their information from the workflow, it's going to come from their particular SMS number anyway. So that should work, I would think.
And so with those three users, but the broker could then get an aggregate summary dashboard basically across those three users?
Yes.
That's really
the administrator can see them all. So you can see all of them. You can make it set up so that each user can only see their own if you want. So it depends on how you want the security set up.
Yeah, even a small brokerage, we can have a corporate email account and then have the other users, even if it was myself, can be in those different cities because they each have different unique addresses.
Right.
That's great. Now, you're actually one of the first CRMs that actually think out of the box on this subject. Most of the other ones force you to have separate accounts.
Well, just a little background. I've been doing this for 25 years, not with Realvolve, with my other company, and I've been in the trenches with you guys for a long time. So I know how you think, and whenever we redesign this and set up Realvolve, a lot of it comes from that experience of knowing how you guys worked. We're just scratching the surface. You know, not everything is where it needs to be yet, and it's simply a matter of time. So give us a little time and we'll get there. So
Sounds great.
thanks, Bruce.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. I have Lisa. I'm not sure here. Let's see. I'm going to unmute. Lisa Harold, did you have another question? Your hand is still up.
You're talking to Lisa Harold?
Yes.
Hey there. I'm brand spanking new, and I'm quite interested in continuing being on board, but I was wondering if you could let me know is it Zapier? How that works with this Realvolve.
Sure. Zapier, one of the things that we did early on was created an interface with Zapier.com. Zapier is basically a third-party aggregate website, and they allow over 500 different applications, including Realvolve, to be able to exchange information back and forth. Now, there's just certain types of information, but it allows us to share information back and forth. A lot of what agents use it for is to be able to, if you've got a lead gen website of some sort that sends you an email whenever a buyer or seller registers on that site, it sends you an email that contains their name, address, or phone number, and email, that type of stuff. If it's a standardized email that comes in, one of the features in Zapier is a email parser, and you can send those emails. In addition to sending them to your normal email address, you can send them to a Zapier email address, and it can parse out that information. It can extract that information from the body of the email and immediately put it into Realvolve for you. And at that same time, it can start a workflow. It can start the email sequences and or SMS text messages. There's lots of things that can be done. Like I said, there's over 500 different types of zaps that can be used. And even if somebody has a MailChimp account and you want to get a name that you just typed into Realvolve, you want it to automatically go into MailChimp, you can set up a zap for that. If you want to interface with your WordPress site and bring information from your WordPress site into Realvolve or vice versa, you can do that. One of our agents out of the UK the other day, we had a webinar that she had it set up. Elizabeth Southard had it set up so that whenever she had a new listing, or excuse me, a closing, that she wanted to send all this information to a particular document to be sent and emailed. Now, we can do a lot of the email and stuff, but if you wanted to create an actual form, like a closing form or something like that, it's a little bit tougher to do with our email templates. But she was able to use one of the Zap parties in this to be able to set up the form and then use all of our merge fields right in that form. So there's lots of different uses that you can use Zapier for. And we've got a lot of, if you go out to help.realvolve.com and just do a search for Zap, there are several different things about what a Zap is, how to use them. There's some videos that I've got set up on here. One of the things that one of our users said, well, I'm constantly running around to different parties and different places, and all I want to do is have a real simple data entry form that just collects a first name, last name, phone number, and a note. That's all I want it to do. So I said, well, that's easy. Just set up a Google form with those 4 fields in it, and then use a Zap to zap it right into Realvolve. And that worked beautifully for her. So you can create lots of different uses out of that simply by using a Zap.
That's very cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Looks like Sandy still has her. Let me see if you got another. Sandy Simmons, do you have another question or have a question?
No. That was wonderful.
Okay.
Completed my whole buyer closing process now.
Awesome. Good job. I'm going to lower that hand then. Okay. And I'll mute everybody else. Okay, so let me go to the questions. Looks like we do have some questions here. Yes. Okay. Can you run multiple workflows at the same time? Yes, you can. Whenever you start this was from Lisa Harold again. Whenever you go to a contact and you, or contact, property, or transaction, you can start and run as many different workflows as you want. It does not matter one iota about that. Typically, you don't run the same workflow over and over. You technically can, but you can run however many different workflows as you like. Okay, Samantha, is my screen moving at all? We figured out how to create mailing campaigns. May need to get back to you on that one. I'm not sure that makes sense. Figured out. Oh, okay. That's the same question we had earlier. Great idea on the tags. So when you use the ABC status for rating your sphere, not your leads, where do you measure your lead status? Well, on your leads themselves, whenever they first come in, you do have a stage area here. So you've got people that are in the aware, know, like, and trust different phases. So as people move through, whenever they first come in into your database, maybe from a lead gen website of some sort, they're typically in that phase of aware. They're aware of you and you're aware of them. But you don't know a lot about each other. So you start marketing, you start making phone calls, you start building that relationship. And then they get to that point where they know you. And you know them somewhat. That's one part of it. And as you start doing more and more of that, they get into the like section. Most people that do business with you, they do business with you because they like you. And that's where that comes from. The contact status itself could be at suspect at first. Again, the way we normally typically describe this as suspect is somebody that comes in off of your website. You don't know anything about them. They're just a name or an email. Very basic stuff. Once you get a little bit of information about them, then they would go into a prospect side, and you still start corresponding back and forth. Once they finally give you some basic information about what they're looking for, are they a buyer? Are they a seller? Are they looking for a certain price range? That type of stuff. That's when they really become a lead. Because before that, they weren't giving you enough information to be anything other than a prospect or a suspect. Once they then decide to sign on the dotted line and be your client, that's when they become a client. And typically it's at like, that the different stages of aware, know, like, and trust. It's at like where they become client. Once you've done business with them, you close out, they become past client. As they become past client, they're still like, you're still going to nurture them. You're still going to speak, making phone calls and sending out emails and the like. Once it gets to a point where you're doing a lot, and I'm saying a lot of stuff here that really kind of deals with the numbering system. The numbering system, as you start doing more and more with them, their numbering score, the relationship score will continue to go up. And as it gets higher and higher, at some point, it's going to be to a point where they may be in the like section by your stage, but technically their score is in that trust stage. They trust you. They're doing a lot of stuff with you. And depending on where your like, your client status is, and where your score is going to determine a lot of information. And one thing that we're going to do another webinar next week on, we've got some new stuff coming in here to really go over this cross-section piece. This allows you to see where your people are at that are coming in. Whenever somebody's a brand new lead gen person that's going to be under suspect, aware, you want to start moving them up this ladder and up and to the right. Once they get to a certain point, you can click on these boxes and it tells you how many people are in that phase. You can click on that and see who's in that phase. And then you can click on that record to see more information about it. Why should I be calling them? Well, I've not done anything with Savannah in 180 days, so I need to give her a call. I can add a note. I can send an email. I can send a text message. I can change if I'm on the phone and I make my phone call. I can set it to today's date so that now that will update her record and make sure that my scoring is made in place as well. So the whole purpose of this cross grid here is to help you identify those people that you need to be contacting, and that's all geared on the score, their aware, know, like, and trust settings, and their suspect, prospect, lead. And as you do more things with people, as you correspond with them, as you do things with your calendar, maybe you've got appointments for lunch or dinner, you're sending out emails, they're replying back to emails. The scores are all determined off of a lot of interaction that you're doing with those people. And the more interaction you do with them, the higher the score gets. Likewise, if somebody doesn't open an email, if they don't reply back to your email, their scores can start going down. So this is a good indicator as well that, hey, you may need to call this person because either they're getting your email and they're ignoring it, they really don't want anything to do with you, or your emails are getting caught in some kind of spam trap and they're not getting your emails. So a phone call would be prudent to make sure that they're getting that communication that you want. So there's a lot of things that's building into this score, building into the factors of why you need to communicate with people at different times. And on that dashboard, it's going to tell you how to do that. And we're going to go into that a lot deeper in a very near webinar. We're doing some more stuff to this particular piece, and once we get that done, we'll do that webinar. One thing that you can see, we've added more information to this section over here where you've got contacts in your database. You want to see more detail about what you've got in there, how many A's you've got, how many B's, how many suspects, prospects. So some good information, and we're going to be doing some more drill down on this as well. So some cool things that are happening within some of these controls on the dashboard. You'll get excited about those. Lisa, did you have anything else?
I did have one more question regarding importing contacts. I've had some customers ask that are with by referral only, and they want to know the best way to import those contacts because they're not coming from, like Exact or Top Producer or something like that. Is there an easy way for them to do that?
Absolutely. So whenever you go into the settings area under the drop down, choose settings, we've got this import contacts option. Under import contacts, you can choose a file. Let me just grab a name here. This is really not a good one because it's got property information, but I'm just going to grab a CSV. Whenever you're in a by referral only CRM, you can export that data to a CSV file. You can load that CSV file just like any other, and we have already in our mappings, we've got a whole bunch of different mappings. Actually, I should have gone to a different account. This is one that doesn't have it. We do have a by referral only option in there for mapping your fields, and it's already mapped out exactly how you need it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Try that one more time here. One of the things that we've really tried to make easy, and getting data in and out of CRMs can be a pain at times, and we've really tried to make it as easy as possible. Whenever you go into the import and you select the file, let me just grab the same file again. This particular file, it has some property information, so it really won't make as much sense. But if it had names and addresses and phone numbers and all that kind of stuff, it would be able to be all imported. So let me go in here. So we've got ACT, we've got Advantage XI, which is my old product, by referral only, Contactually, eEdge, Follow Up Boss, iCloud, Infusion. I mean, the list just kind of goes on and on. So there's lots of different pre-mapped fields that you can select from. If your database, your CSV file is not any of these, you still have the ability to take that information and manually map it yourself as well. So, if this was the field for the client address, the client ID, I mean, you can map these out exactly how they go into your own format. So it makes it real easy to set that up. You can set up the primary contact. If there's the way Realvolve is set up, we have both a primary contact and a secondary contact. That would be for your spouses and stuff. If they're on the same row, so it'll actually create two separate records and tie them together for you. We have the ability to import properties and transaction information as well. So a lot of capabilities there if you need to.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see. Looks like Ron's got another question. Ronald, go ahead.
Yeah, I live in the San Luis area. Just, is there a way of knowing if there's other users of Realvolve where we could network?
We are putting together some stuff in our database to start making like user group areas. We've been talking about having different local or regional types of user groups, and I will be announcing more information on that within the next couple weeks, so that you guys can start planning on that. I'm not too awful far from you. I'm in just north of Springfield. So
Right.
Anytime I come to St. Louis, I'll send you a little message and make sure that
Yeah, we've talked about that. You're in Boulevard.
Yes. Not too far.
Right.
But we'll get that together for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? All right. Well, we have reached the 3 o'clock, which went a little bit longer than what I had planned. But see if there's anything else on here. Oh, Referral Maker. I do see an import for Referral Maker, and we do have a Referral Maker option on here. There, with Referral Maker, just to let you guys know, there is a couple different layouts of Referral Maker, and depending on whenever you export it, whether it has the spouse information as a separate record or if it's in the same record as the primary, you need to map it differently. I've got one on here which has been the newest, all the ones that I've been seeing, where the each contact record in Referral Maker has its own record. So if a husband and wife are in the database, they each have their own separate record. And what this does is there are, even in those same records, it shows the spouse name. So what we've done is we've set it up so that you can ignore the secondary contact in the same records because it's going to add it as a secondary record in there. So you can use that Referral Maker option to import that. Integrations with Redx. I do not have that yet. Whenever we release our API, which is any day now, we should be able to start allowing that and see how that goes. All right. Lisa, did you have anything else?
I think that's it for right now, Mark. Thank you very much.
Well, everybody, thank you. Let me know how you guys like this format. Send us an email, info@realvolve.com. Just give us some feedback on whether this is helpful or not, because we want to help you guys however we can. And we were doing different types of webinars, and several people were just saying, having a question answer type thing would be helpful. So making sure that this is going to be good for you guys, and if so, we want to continue doing this. So let us know what you think. You guys
Hey, Mark,
have...
quick question.
Yes, go ahead.
The recordings that you do, are these stored somewhere in Revolve for future reference, or?
We will be posting these to YouTube. There's the past couple of them, they were kind of spotty, so I'm editing a couple of them, but as we get these more and more, we're going to just post them right onto YouTube, and you'll be able to get to them there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. So this was a good one. So thank you guys for attending. If there's anything else, just let us know. We'd be happy to answer whatever questions you guys have. So you guys have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks. You too, Mark.